Today I'm going to answer the question that most coaches really, really just want to know, which is, how do we win?
We're not going to get a second chance in the game.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. I am in Andale, Kansas, just outside Wichita, with when I say championship coach, I mean, listen, they don't hardly lose around here. Now, I just found out about Andale this fall, so I'm just getting to know these guys, and this road trip, I can already tell, it has already been worth it for me. Just shooting the breeze with the man you're about to meet, which is Dylan Schmidt. And we're going to talk about that hard question today, which is, how do you win? Now, before I turn it over to Coach, we already know that he, like all good coaches, I'm sure, has been programmed to give the right answer to this question, which is deflect, 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 deflect. So my job, I think, only role I'm going to play is to push for you guys, that maybe we can find some real meat and potatoes in here. And how do you continue to win? Before I ask that hard question, let's meet Dylan Schmidt. Coach, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me, Nate. Thanks.
Man, you have to get so many people reaching out to you with your program and what you guys are up to. How were we able to get you here that you'd allow us to visit?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's intrigue with, guys that are, reaching out to you about football stuff. And, and I was able to hop on and look at a lot of your stuff and actually subscribe and gain information for myself. And so I just thought, man, what a cool deal to be a part of. And I think like everybody, as you get into your coaching career, as you go, you're looking for little nuggets along the way. And this for me was a way to find another nugget. And so I'm kind of intrigued to do more of a deep dive into everything that you have as part of your programs and YouTube channels and, just information. I mean, the cool thing about the internet and social media and all those things is there's so much information out there. But the tough thing is how do I filter all that in the time that I have as a head coach or, we're all busy with all the things we have going on. But so I was just excited and based on what I saw to do this.
All right. So our question listen, these guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but you guys have lost to only one team since 2018.
So we've won. We've lost 4 games here in the last 8 years in my time as coaching. We'd won 57 in a row, and we lost to one team twice last year in 2023. Prior to that, we lost once in 2017 in the state championship game to Bishop Miege, and then in 2018 we lost to Pratt in a semifinal game. So my first year was 2017. We go to the state championship game. We lose to Bishop Miege in 4A. The next year, my second year, we go to the semifinals. We get beat by Pratt in the semifinals. And then from there, we go on a run. And we win the championship in 19, 20, 21, and 22, undefeated all those years. And so we're rolling into 23 with a 57-game win streak, and we get beat by Cheney High School in the 8th game of the year, which was a district-type game. And so we get beat in that game, and then we turn around and we play them again in the semifinals, and we get beat by them again. And so 4 losses in the last 8 years. Last fall in 2024, we get back on track. We go 13-0, and we win the state championship. So we won 5 state championships in the last 8 years, and we've been to 8 straight semifinal games. In 3A, 4A football, majority has been 3A, and we've been in the title game 6 out of 8 years. So.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you this question, the question of how do you win or how have you been winning? But I want to ask it from 3 different perspectives, Coach. So I want to take these off of your plate. The following answers are not options. Number 1, which is absolutely necessary if you're going to win, you got to have a lot of great assistant coaches with you. You have to. And they have to be really good coaches. Okay, so you cannot say we have a bunch of really good assistants because it's a given. You have to. You cannot win that much without them. Number 2, we got a lot of really talented kids. You have to. Yeah, so to me, those 2 are givens, but are the number 1 answer for a coach because he has to give them. How do you not? You got to give everybody else the glory. They're incredible. So if I take those 2, those are the only 2 off your plate. Let's say I'm a superintendent of another district. So really, I don't know football, but I know education. I know what I want for my school. And this guy is on an elevator ride with you, Short little answer. Coach, how have you been winning so much? What do you give that guy?
Yeah, I think number one is you have to have high standards. And along with that, and this is the hardest, is you better hold them accountable. And so you say, okay, well, how do you do that? Well, I could talk about the weight room in terms of making every kid get every rep, different metrics to measure that, to calculate that, consequences if they don't. Talk about football, in terms of the football practice. How do you measure the attendance? How do you measure the effort? How do you hold them accountable? What are the consequences for that? And so the bottom line, I think we've done a better job of Andale than anybody of on the daily, every single day, holding kids accountable, making sure they're meeting the standard, having consequences if they don't. And it's just more of a way of life of this, just, hey, this is how we do things around here. And when you can get people to buy into that, the big buzzword is culture. Man, there's a culture here. But it's just that constant accountability. It's that constant, but there's got to be praise along with that too, right? Of, hey, this is how you do things. And it's just a balance of all that. I could use the analogy of just good parenting. How do you do a good job as a parent? And as we know, sometimes you do a good job and sometimes you don't. We're not on every day as coaches, but man, we're going to try to be. And so it just takes a tremendous amount of effort, but you got to have high standards and you got to hold kids accountable. And I think we've created some metrics within our program, different nuggets, whatever you want to say, of things that we're doing. And I think we're doing those better than other people.
All right. Scenario number 2. So you've got 5 kids yourself, you were saying. Let's take your daughter. We fast forward 20 years. And maybe she was a great volleyball player. And now she's going to be a coach. She's the head volleyball coach at this school. And she knows she comes from a line of coaches. You were saying your father's a coach. She knows her dad has won X state titles. Who knows how many it'll be by then. And she says, Dad, I really want to be good. So if you took that conversation, we know about the standards, what would be next? Now you're talking to a coach. It has nothing to do with football, but there's got to be some carryover when we dive. Now that we've gotten past standards, how do I make sure that we're really stinking good at this every year?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the thing that I would tell her, number one, going into the coaching profession is you better be comfortable being uncomfortable, because you're going to have some uncomfortable situations. And I think the best coaches and the best leaders, they call it like it is. And that's kind of been a deal for us, is that, regardless of what little Johnny or little Sally thinks, we're going to let them know where they're at. Now, how you present that, there's different ways to go about it. And sometimes, as you know, it's a kick in the butt, and sometimes it's a pat on the back, or sometimes you're using sugar and sometimes you're using salt. And I think you need both of them to be effective. But I think the biggest thing that I see in the coaching profession, and especially nowadays with younger kids or younger coaches coming into it, is they're not willing to have those conversations. You better, I talk about picking a fight. You better be willing to pick a fight, if you will, or have confrontation. Hey, this is what we need from you. Now, I think the best coaches can do that in different ways. Sometimes it's in a positive way. How do I call little Johnny over and make sure he understands that, hey, what you're doing is unacceptable, but here's some better ways you can do it. So that's the biggest thing that I would tell my daughter or somebody else, is that you better enjoy confrontation, and you better be willing to have it, because you're going to have to do that. There's going to be people that don't buy in. There's going to be standards that aren't met. And if you don't address it now, in the practice, in the weightlifting session, right away, then that stuff lingers. And so you just got to be willing to do those things.
All right, last scenario. We got a guy that's coached football for a long time. He's coached for 20 years. His team has always been good, but he's really anxious to take the next step. Maybe he's been consistently knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. And you got to take a little drive with him. And he happens to be in the car with you, and he's just, what do you think, Coach, I might be missing? What would you think, right? If you don't know too much about my program, but what might I be missing? How could I turn a new page?
Yeah, I think 2 things when you mention somebody that's been in it for a long time. Number one is the energy level that you bring, because it's easy as the years go by to get complacent or get beat down or whatever you want to say. But along with that is the attention to detail. The best people that I've ever been around with, whether it's be successful businessman or great parent or great athlete or whatever, there's extreme attention to detail, and there's a lot of energy that comes from that. So that's where you just have to dive into, all the different things they're doing. The funny thing that I realized talking to other coaches across the state or whatever it may be is that you think, well, everybody's doing it the way we're doing it. They're doing all these things. And then when you get into it, it's like, well, they're doing it to some extent, but not on the level that we're doing it at. And so, I can use a simple example in the weight room. A kid misses a rep. Are you counting every rep? How are you going to handle that? Are you going to kick him out of the weight room for missing a rep? Or are you going to dock his grade or whatever it is? As we all know, that has carryover to the football field or to whatever sport you're playing. And so there's just little things like that take a ton of energy level to be willing to count every rep, to be willing to hold that kid accountable, to call him in. And back to what I said, that's attention to detail. Are we doing everything we're saying we're doing the way we're supposed to be, do it? And we say this all the time. It's cliche, but, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. That's something that in our program we talk about all the time.
Well, before I let you go here, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us. A little departing question, all right? You got a youth football coach. He's coaching fifth graders for the first time. He said, Coach, what offense, defense should I run? What would your answer to him be?
I'd say number one, it doesn't matter. At the fifth grade level, and I coach youth football, I coach my son's team, who's fourth grade. Next year, they'll be the fifth grade team. And I can't say I do the best job, but you got to make it fun. Youth development should be about, creating a passion for it, having fun with it. We run the same system as our high school runs because obviously I'm the high school football coach, and that's the system we run. And I think that helps to some extent. But at the end of the day, at the youth level, it's about development, player development. Heck, even at the freshman JV level for us, it's about that kid developing as an athlete and enjoying football or enjoying whatever sport it is. If you can create that passion and you can create that work ethic and they can go enjoy it, it really doesn't matter what you're doing. So much of the youth level and really even the high school level is about fundamentals, and creating a love for the game. If I were talking to that guy, I'd say, well, hey, go talk to your high school coach, number one, and reach out to him and see if he would have suggestions so you can kind of implement some of that. But we have guys do different things in our system at our youth level that aren't doing stuff that we do at the high school level. And I'm okay with that to some extent in the sense that if the kid's having fun and they're doing a good job and they feel confident in what they're coaching, there's a lot of goods that come from that. So, you got a youth level at a fifth grade level. It takes a special person to really have patience, which I have none of, and just, create kind of an environment where little Johnny or little Sally are having a lot of fun.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, man. If you guys want to see any more from Coach, he is doing a presentation for the site for members. You guys can check that out. And but thank you again for joining us. If you like this kind of stuff, hey, you know where we'll be next week. Same time, same place. Well, not same place. I'll be somewhere else. But same time, and we'll be talking coaching.